Good morning. I'm Bob Hart. I'll be the moderator for today's webinar, which is entitled Insights, Unique Ways to Use SBA Loans. On behalf of Nevada State Bank, I'd like to welcome you to the webinar, which is presented through NevadaSmallBusiness.com. I am Vice President and SBA Relationship Manager for Nevada State Bank, which has been a leading SBA lender for the past several years. I'm happy to be here today to listen to our panel share their insights about SBA loans and the many ways that you may use these loans to help further your business. We'd also like to dispel some of the misconceptions and myths that are out there to help you with your thought process. First, I'd like to introduce the rest of the panel. To my far left, Ed Brown is Chief of Finance at the SBA Nevada District Office. He's been with the SBA for many years and has experience in helping small business receive their loans. Ann Santiago, Senior Vice President for Business Development with TMC Financing, a certified development company. TMC has provided access to over $7.2 billion in SBA 504 financing for companies in California and Nevada over the years. Please make note, if you have questions for the panel, please submit them on Twitter using the hashtag NSBWebinar. Okay, without further delay, let's get started. One of the things that I think that we really need to address is to make sure that you fully understand the two SBA loans that are in use out there. And I would ask Ed if he could tell us a little bit about the 7A loans so that we will know what the difference is between those and the 504s. Ed?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Bob, for inviting the SBA at this webinar. And I'd like to say thank you to the audience for allowing us to be here. As far as the 7A loans, 7A itself is our main loan. That's what I call the grandfather of the SBA loan division. Now, the spin-offs off of 7A, we have the Small Loan Advantage, we have the Veteran Advantage, we have the SBA Express, we have a cap line, we have an exporting loan, we have an exporting express loan, and we also have an international trade loan, and also a community advantage loan. So instead of killing yourself trying to go over the internet and reading all the different types of loan, you want to call somebody at the SBA office, and you can also talk to the lender, and believe me, they will put you in the proper loan for your particular business. So, you know, don't try to fit yourself into a particular type of loan, is what I'm saying. Is just talk to somebody at the SBA department or somebody at the bank's SBA department that can sit down and go over exactly what you want to do.
It's good to know, Ed. Ann, tell us a little bit about the 504, how the process works.
Good morning, and I reiterate Ed's comments. Thank you for inviting me to attend the seminar. The SBA 504 loan program is a commercial real estate fixed asset financing program. And through, with the participation of lenders, we are able to provide up to 90% financing for commercial real estate loans. The SBA portion is 40%, up to 40% of total project costs. So a client can come in with as little as 10% down. The bank, the participating lender that works with us, does 50%, the SBA does a 40% loan, and a client can come in with as little as a 10% injection.
So if I understand that correctly, the bank is in a first trust deed position at 50% of your project cost, and the SBA comes in at 40% or up to 40%, and the client comes in with 10%. What a great program.
Yeah.
Some of the myths and misconceptions that are out there, and I've been hearing them for years, and I know you have too, the thought process is, oh geez, I don't want to do an SBA loan. There's so much paperwork involved. It takes forever. Ed, you know, when you get those comments, how do you address those?
Well, the one thing that the public has to understand is that we guarantee the loan. We don't cut a check or anything like that. That's why we're in partnership with the local lenders to process. In other words, the government is not set up to be a loan or a bank or anything like that, thank God. But that's why we're in partnership with the local lenders to make it a much faster process. So as far as that myth that it takes 9 months, 12 months or whatever, no, that was true back in the 70s, but turnaround time between you and the bank, I can't speak of that, but between the bank and SBA, turnaround time can be as quick as 48 hours.
Right. And now through the years, the SBA has made a concerted efforts to streamline the operation and provide a much quicker turnaround. Ed, I keep hearing this all, banks aren't lending anymore. How do you approach that when you're talking to them if they say banks aren't lending anymore? So what kind of loan production is there out there?
Well, one of the things is that coming out of this recession is that the banks have money and they are looking to loan it. Now you have to pick the right bank. And that's a responsibility that could come through SBA. You can call myself and we can sit down and go over exactly what you want to do and how you want to do it. If your existing bank existing business or a startup, it doesn't matter. Not every bank does everything. So that's what I think the public is misunderstanding that. And we can cut your downtime. Instead of approaching 40 banks, it could be maybe 4 banks and are willing to help you. But the productions are going up. We do have, as March the 24th, we have done 35 504 loans, and we have done 135 7A, different types of 7A loans for 48 million, for 48 million, and 504s are around 16.5 million.
And that represents what, about 30, 35 lenders in the state?
At least.
Yeah, 35 to 40 lenders are lending. So that, as you can see, that is a myth. Loans are being made. A lot of people feel that the SBA loan is only for people that can't qualify for a bank loan. From what I've seen, that has changed a lot through the years. They always felt that it was the lender of last resort. But with a lot of the recent changes, which we'll get into, I've seen that myth go away because probably 98% of all the businesses in the country could be an SBA loan. Let's see. One of the other things through the phone calls that I get are folks that call up and say, what do I need to do to get a loan? How do I qualify? A lot of them think that the SBA loan is like a grant. They don't have to pay it back, or that they don't have to have any money to do the loan. And that is probably one of the bigger misconceptions that I run across on a monthly basis, that let's face it, Congress sets the rules, and Ed's SBA department has to implement those rules, and whatever the rules are, they abide by them. So yes, you have to have a cash injection like we talked about, and you have to have collateral, you have to have good credit, and we'll get into some of those things, but I want to make sure that everybody is on the same song sheet, that the SBA and the bank is there to provide those loans to small business. Ed, you just alluded a little bit on the 7A loans for the types of loans. Can you have more than one SBA loan at one time?
Yes, you can have 20 loans as long as if you get a 7A loan, as long as you don't go over the $5 million cap, you can have one loan and you can have 50 loans. So yes. Right.
Yeah, that's a lot of people don't realize that if they do a 504 or a 7A, they think they can only do one. And I've got clients that have franchises, and every time they get a new franchise, we do a separate loan. So they might have 4 or 5. So don't lose sight of that, because that can be a great tool. What about the program and for green building program? Is that?
Well, right along those same lines, the maximum allowable under the 504 is also 5 million. However, if a project is an eligible green project, or if the project is for a manufacturer, then SBA will allow up to 5.5 million. And for those projects, it is not per applicant. The 5.5 million is per project.
Okay.
We had a situation where I had done 3 504 loans for 3 locations for a local business. And they were up to $4.9 million in SBA outstanding loans. They wanted to open a new site, and we were able to do the new site with additional 2.5 million in SBA because they made that project a green project. And the eligible green projects that are eligible for this 5.5 million per application are if the project includes a renewable source of energy, or if the project can have a retrofit. And in both cases, the energy must be, the new energy must be at least 10% of the overall energy.
Savings,
so
yeah.
Yes, so there is no there's no cap or maximum on the green projects for the SBA 504 program.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to make sure that when we're talking here that you understand that like an SBA 504, the total project cost can be $10–15 million. What Ann's alluding to is the SBA guaranteed portion can only go up to $5 million. And the lender can lend up to 50% or 60% of that, and the borrower is coming in with the difference. I have
Good
looked
point.
at deals that were $15 or $16 million purchases, and the bank was coming in at 55%. We were capped at the $5 million, and then the client was coming in with the balance. So just so that you know what the structure would be on something like that. The other thing that comes into play too is make sure that you understand that people get hung up, they'll call me on a 7A and they'll say, when I tell them they're looking at 20 or 25, 30% down, they say, well, what happened to the 10%? 10%'s on real estate in most cases. If it's a general purpose purchase, it's 10%. But if it's a special purpose, if it's a dialysis center, then the SBA requires an additional 5% down. And if it's a startup on top of that, they require another 5%. So worst case scenario, 20% down on a building purchase if it's special purpose, startup. If it's general purpose and your standard purchase, 10%, just about all day long. The 7A loan cap now, I believe, is what, 5 million, Ed?
Cap line?
No, the SBA maximum.
No, maximum, yes.
5, and the maximum term is what, 5 years?
No.
We go up to 10?
Yeah.
We can go up to 10 years with a 5 million max on the 7A loan. Now 7A you can also use to purchase a building. And with that you have a 25-year amortization. So just make sure that when you are talking to your lender, one of the first questions should be, are they a preferred lender with the SBA or are they what we call CLP lender? Big difference between the two, right, Ann? As far as the, and Ed, as far as the type of lender that they're dealing with.
Yeah, when you're dealing with a preferred lender, what we call a PLP lender, is basically that's our top lender. That's the golden star. That's what every lender shoots to get that title. And the major difference is that if that lender approves the loan, SBA automatically approves it. And they can, again, their turnaround time is a lot quicker because it's less paperwork that preferred lender has to submit to SBA because they have done a number of our loans and have been approved, audited in the past years, and we have deemed them as our top lenders. So yeah, to get that title, it can save you, a tremendous amount of time as far as dealing with a lender, dealing with a preferred lender.
And as we know, Nevada State Bank has been a preferred lender for about 10 years now. So their involvement and dedication to small business in the state of Nevada is beyond reproach, I guess. The other thing that I think we really need to talk to, we've got a lot of folks out there that are in the rural areas. And if somebody's in a rural area, is there any benefits to them as far as the SBA loan versus folks that are in the city?
Well, part of the 504 program, the purpose of that program is intended to create jobs and economic development.
Right.
So there is a goal within the 504 that states that SBA would like to see one job created for every $65,000 of SBA funds. And remember, again, the SBA fund is going to be the 40%, up to 40% of the total project. But if the project meets one of SBA's public policy goals, then there is no job creation goal associated with that particular project. Mm-hmm. So a rural project is an SBA public policy goal. A woman-owned business is a public policy, as is a veteran-owned business. And also if the project is located in a redevelopment area, that also meets an SBA public policy goal. And recently, SBA has added a labor surplus area. So if you have an area that has high unemployment, then SBA's, you would be eligible and not have to create any jobs under that labor surplus area. And the sort of sad news is that Clark County, Las Vegas is under a labor surplus area. So we're getting out of it, which is really good news, but there is no job creation associated at this time for our projects.
Well, that's good to know. The programs that are available to our small business community in the state of Nevada is diverse. The requirements are diverse. But from what I'm hearing here, the SBA loans are set up to just about address just about every need that's out there as long as they qualify. There have been some recent changes. Ed, could you kind of bring us up to speed on some of the recent changes that just
Sure.
was approved?
Well, number one, the processing system is going to be even faster.
Good.
Which is famous for a
Right.
federal agency.
Right.
But the SBA is taking it seriously to really copycat off the lenders as far as what they need, what they have to have done, and the paperwork and so on. So we're readjusting quite a bit of the requirements that we have in the past required the lenders to do.
Right.
So the streamlining the application by allowing the lender to use more of their own paperwork and not SBA's additional paperwork on top of it. The personal resource test, that was a stinger for decades to the lenders and to SBA in a sense, or let's say the workers at SBA. So as of April the 21st, we no longer will have that personal resource test. So that will qualify many, many more business owners out there, which I'm sure the banks are going to jump on that right away. And again, that means more loans out there now that more people are qualified. You got the 9-month rule, but I'm going to let Ann talk about that because it hits the 504 well, 99% of the time. But one of the other things is, which is in effect right now, is that there's no guarantee fees on SBA loans 150 and lower. So that saves the bank money, which in return saves the borrower money because they would normally pass that fee on to the borrower. And now no one has that fee for any loan under $150,000, and that's regardless of what program you go under.
Well, that's good to know. Ann, could you elaborate a little more on that personal resource and the 9-month rule?
Well, yeah, under the personal resource, currently SBA would require owners that have excess personal resources that would be required to use those personal resources before SBA can come into the picture and provide financing. So that rule is eliminated. So businesses that have done well and their owners have profited and increased their personal holdings would now be eligible for SBA financing, as Ed mentioned. In addition, the 9-month rule, which is specifically for the 504 program, will allow for expenses incurred toward a building, toward a project, to be considered as eligible costs, regardless of when those expenses were incurred. Currently, the rule is a 9-month rule. So if you spent some money toward the building, if you did some engineering work, for example, and it was outside of that 9-month rule before you made your application, those particular costs would not be eligible. That rule is eliminated, and so now we're able to allow any costs, any expenses incurred on the subject property to be included in the financing.
And these, if I understand it correctly, both of these rules go into effect April the 21st.
April 21st. Right.
Anything prior to April 21st is subject to the old rules.
That's correct.
But any applications taken after the 21st would be subject to the new rule.
That's
Well, that's
correct.
good to know. I also understand that under the SBA Veterans Program, they did change it to the Veterans Advantage Program.
Right.
I know that the SBA has for many years, as well as the PLP lenders, had the process when we get 3 or 4 packages in, we review them right away. If any of them are applicants that are past veterans, we would work those first. They would go to the top of the pile, get work first. And I know that the new veterans program is geared in that same direction, along with some other benefits for them. Those rules that are still out there that are pending, the affiliate rule and the refi program, Ed, can you shed any light on where we're at on those rules?
Well, the affiliate and the refi both have been presented to Congress, so we're waiting for Congress.
I see.
We do have strong support that it will go through, but you can't say for sure until they actually approve it. But we feel like it's coming. I just can't put a date on it,
Right.
but it's coming, because the refi would be a tremendous difference.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The president has added the refi program in his recent budget. So we do have support from both houses. The Senate, there's a Senate bill, there's a House bill, and it has bipartisan support. And it is also, the administration also has supported it. So we're
Right.
hopeful that we can retain that debt refinance program.
Yeah, I'd like to see them make that permanent, just so that you understand what we're talking about. The SBA 504 refi program is for loans that you have existing. If you have a business, you have a conventional loan on your
Conventional finance.
real estate, and that you occupy 50% of that building, when it comes up, your note comes up for renewal, you can do an SBA 504 loan. It was in existence about 18 months ago for a short period of time, and it was embraced by the business community, because now they're able to convert a conventional loan to long-term fixed financing. And everybody's waiting in the wings for this program to be reapproved and re-implemented. So it's a great program. What do you normally tell a client that comes in and asks the question, what do I do? What do I need to do to get qualified? Ed, I know that you probably more than the rest of us get these kind of calls all the time. If somebody says, "Hey, what do I need to do to be qualified to get a loan?" How do you respond to them?
Well, the first thing is I want to know where you're at. I mean, have you done a business plan? Are you in business? Is this going to be a startup? What are you bringing to the table?
Right.
Are you even prepared to
Right.
even talk to a lender at this point in time? And we get them from, I just have an idea, where I have everything ready to roll. And what I try to do is kind of get their information rechecked by a third party, one of our resource partners, SCORE or the Small Business Development Center, the Women's Center, and that way you're assuring that you have everything set and ready to go before you go to a lender. With that in mind, since you did come into office or made the phone call to SBA, so now after picking your brain back and forth, I can recommend 2 or 3 lenders. In some cases, if you looking real, or we felt like you're looking real good, I'll call a lender and say, hey, you know, are you interested in A, B, and C, and go from that point. So what I try to recommend to everybody is, number 1, yes, call us. And number 2, sit down, talk with a human being, and let us determine where you're at. And then we can take the next step. And you have to be willing to take that next step instead of just jumping out there.
Right. And you brought up some good points that the lenders as well as the SBA, we have partners out there that will help the small business community. When I get those phone calls and I ask those same questions, what's the dollar amount? We start talking business plan projections. If you get the deer in the headlight scenario, there is free service to these small businesses. In Reno at UNR, Small Business Development Center is available. They'll meet with you up there. They'll help you with your business plan, your projections, as well as the SCORE Council up in Reno. It's a very active council. They'll also provide you with that support. Down here, UNLV has a Small Business Development Center also, as well as SCORE is located in Ed's office, plus the Nevada Small Business, or I'm sorry, the Nevada Micro Enterprise is another very good tool for clients to go to and get the help they need. And again, it's a free service, so make sure that you utilize those free services. I'm just trying to think, is there anything we have not hit on yet that you feel is important? I want to make sure that our viewers realize what loans are being made out there. Have you got any examples? I think you had indicated earlier that there was you've seen some things happening.
Well, one of the things that dispelling myths is that SBA is for clients that can't get loans elsewhere. It's the lender of last resort. And what that is so different this from 15 years ago, the old SBA, the reality is that SBA has been moving toward expanding, at least in the 504 and especially also in the 7A side, expanding to reach more small businesses. And they've even changed how they define a small business. Under the 504 program, a small business is one that has a net worth of $15 million and net income for the last 2 years of $5 million after tax. That's a pretty big small business. Right. And so the goal is not that we are the lender for last resort, but we're the lender that's going to help small businesses expand, help them retain their cash by providing these below market financing products so that they can then use that cash to grow their business. They grow their business, they create jobs.
Right.
They create jobs, they help our economy and our local communities.
Yeah, very good. You know, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention to you also that there's other resources that you can access. If you go to the nsbank.com or especially the nevadasmallbusiness.com webpage, it will have for you checklists that you can look at to see what you do need to prepare you to come in and talk to a lender, as well as the prior webinars that we've had in the past. We've had one on what it takes to qualify. There are a number of very good webinars that are still available to you, obviously free through the nevadasmallbusiness.com. It's an excellent tool. Would highly recommend that you do access that. Familiarize yourself with the forms, the requirements, so that when you are ready to meet with your lender, that you're prepared. The four things that your lender is going to look for is your experience. Like Ed said, you know, what is your experience? What are you bringing to the table? Are you looking to buy a business that you have no experience in? There's going to be some issues that are going to have to be talked about. Second thing is, what is your cash injection? Like I said, the bank nor the SBA will make 100% loans. They want to see you, the borrower, have an investment in this loan. Generally on a 7A non-real estate, you're looking at anywhere from 20 to 30%. If you're coming in and say, hey, I need $300,000 loan for my project, you better have in your business checking account about $80,000 to $90,000. The bank will lend 70 to 80% of what you need, and the SBA guarantees the bank up to 75% of that loan amount. So that's the way that works. Now the fourth part is the collateral. We do have to have collateral. The SBA says to the lenders, you will take all available assets, personal and business, to secure this loan.
For the 7A.
For the 7A.
Yes.
And they, that being said, if between the two you're only coming up with coverage of maybe up to 50% of what the loan amount is, now we have to say, all right, what other assets are available out there to you to secure this loan on a dollar for dollar basis? And then the fourth part of this is, what is your credit score? What is your character? These are all requirements from the lenders and from the SBA. FICO scores have to be at a certain level, and we have to see borrowers of good character. The other part of it that through the years, and I know that you also feel the same way, is when I talk to a client, I say, all right, who's on your team? Do you have a good attorney, a good CPA, a good banker? And I don't mean have them on the payroll, I mean have good relationships with these folks, because they will help you grow your business tremendously. You have somebody to go to with questions. And through the years, I have found that those that are successful are those folks that did put together a good team, if you will. Let's take some questions now. See if we've got anybody coming in. We've got a question here from Tony. Can I get an SBA loan to purchase equipment for my business?
Oh, yes. It's one of the main reasons the 7A is being used, so definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And some equipment can also be financed under the 504 as well.
Right.
So there are options there. It depends on the type of equipment. For the 504, it has to be fixed and has to have a useful life of at least 10 years. We can't do rolling stock, but we can do fixed equipment. And recently we did some equipment for a commercial bakery, and we under the 504. They were leasing the space, but we were able to finance the equipment that went in that building.
I know we've made a number of 504s for equipment for clients that have the large dollar amount equipment where they can get long-term fixed rate. So it's a great tool, Tony. Thanks for your question, Tony. Here's a question from Matt. Can you recommend a low-cost way I can get help preparing a professional-looking business plan?
SCORE are there, ready to help you. Small Business Development Center is there to help you, and as you said earlier, free. And they do a very, very good job. Very good job. I can back them up 100%. And you also have the Women's Center. They can also help you. Don't have to be a woman, but it is a Women's Center that's sponsored by SBA. But no, I will say the state of Nevada has wonderful resources free of charge that I would challenge to anywhere else in this country. And
I believe under SBA.gov, there are also some templates that can be used to put together a business plan. So that might be a good idea for a client to pull those templates and get an idea of what is going to be asked and do the research and then go to a SCORE or a NIMI or one of those
Have
organizations.
somebody look at it.
Absolutely.
That's the big key. Have someone else look at it.
Right, right. Those are all good points. I know the calls that I get on a weekly basis, if I reach the point that they haven't got their business plan or projections, I've got all of these support partners on speed dial and give the information out so that the potential client can meet with those partners, get them ready to come back in and see the lender. Critical, critical. I've got a question here from Valerie. I'm not sure if I'd qualify for an SBA loan. Is there someone I can talk to on a one-on-one basis for advice?
Sure. Again, the resource partners, and a lot of times they come in, they may pull me out of the room and look over certain things, or is there something that can be done right off the bat? And then, okay, if it's yes, then we can go take the next step. If it's no, how can I change that no to a yes? You know, under our guidelines. But definitely, again, like I said, you can work with the resource partners, and the resource partners have all of us available to them. That if it's something that they don't know, to take the next step on it, we can get that information for them. That's not a problem.
In addition, we as certified development companies, we will pre-qualify our clients. So if a client isn't sure whether they would qualify for a particular purchase, their real estate purchase or equipment, they can visit us first, and we can do a pre-qualification to make sure that they qualify credit-wise, as well as making sure that the project is eligible under SBA terms.
That's a good point too. It'll save everybody a lot of time when they go in that direction. Got a question here from Vicky. I heard SBA was bringing back its refinancing program. Is that still in the works? Vicky, we have addressed that, and we're all keeping our fingers crossed that it will be here sooner than later. Do you, just trying to think, the phone call that I got the other day were folks that had a partnership and they were looking to buy a franchise. I know franchise financing is available through the SBA, but they have to be an approved franchise by the SBA. So I would encourage anyone that's looking to buy a franchise, go to the SBA.gov website, pull up the franchise registry, see if that franchise is on there, and if they are approved. If they're not, doesn't mean we can't do it. You'll have to go to your lender then, and they'll have to take it to the next step for you. Here's a question from Sean. What kinds of businesses are eligible for SBA financing?
For the SBA 504, it has to be a for-profit business, and any type of legal business is eligible, as long as it is private, for-profit entity. We cannot do businesses that are restrictive in any way. In other words, if they restrict membership or any participation to the public, those would not be eligible. You mentioned the franchises, most of them are eligible. We just have to make sure and check that particular agreement is acceptable. And I think those are pretty much it.
And that's in the 7A also.
Correct. Those two match.
The other part of that, the eligibility aspect of it, is you have to make sure that if it's an existing business, you look at the historical cash flow of that business to make sure that it's going to cash flow enough to repay the loan. And I know that when the certified development company reviews it for the pre-qual, that's all part of it.
Correct.
So that the cash flow has to be there to be able to repay that loan.
One thing which is really pretty important that I forgot to mention in the eligibility is occupancy. Under the 504, the business there are occupancy requirements. If the purchase is for an existing building, the client must occupy 51% of the space. We can also do ground-up construction, and in those scenarios, if it's ground-up construction, the client must occupy 60% of the space.
Right, right.
So that's a big eligibility test. We don't do investor properties. It's owner-occupied properties.
Right, exactly. It's not investment type. Got a question here from Brad. Can you explain the personal resource test? How is that actual personal resource test applied?
Currently, if an owner has excess personal cash, liquid assets, that equal or exceed the total project costs, then SBA requires them to first inject that excess before SBA will do their participate in the loan. That rule is going away,
Right.
effective April 21st. So there will be no consideration to personal liquid assets that an owner has, and that would hamper going forward with the SBA loan.
Right.
And it's liquid assets only. Personal resources liquid. So that means cash, marketable securities, cash value of life insurance.
Right.
Does not include IRA, retirement funds, etc.
Right.
Or annuities, things like that.
I know in the past, when I'd have clients that are in that mode, you can't do an SBA loan, and you'd love to because they were just too liquid. I was really glad to see that rule change because we'll be able to satisfy a lot more of our clients. Let's see, question from Jake. Where are interest rates going with the SBA loans? Anybody got their crystal ball?
Up.
Well, all of SBA's loans are based on the prime.
Right.
So it's the prime plus, and 7As are prime plus 2 3/4. If you do like a $25,000 loan, then it would be like the prime plus 6.5%. It'd be a little higher. But most of the loans are at the prime plus 2 3/4 as far as 7A. But if that prime goes up, yes. If it goes down, yes, we go down with it. But it's been at 3 or 3 1/4 for 5 years now, I believe. So I think one of the most important things is to remember, yes, it's the prime plus 2 3/4. Say you receive a loan today, it'll be at 6%. But when you sign the authorization between the bank, SBA, and the business owner, you know what that ceiling is going to be. So, and you know what the floor is going to be. So you're not going to have an 18% loan 5 years from now.
How often is the rate adjusted on those 7A? Monthly, quarterly?
That depends on the lender, and most lenders are quarterly. You know, I don't believe a lender is going to give you a fixed amount on, let's say, a working capital loan. But if you find one out there that can do it, then so be it. We are just telling the lender that they cannot go over the prime in 2 3/4. They can go under, but they can't go over.
Right.
The 504 rate on the SBA portion is calculated a little bit different. It's not based on prime. It is a negotiated rate. This program is a self-funded program, and we get our money through the sale of bonds in the bond market, and the SBA guarantees those bonds. So every month when the SBA 504s are funding for that particular month, the rate is negotiated by who's purchasing these bonds, etc. And typically, the 504 rate is going to always be below market. So even in an interest rate environment that is increasing, the 504 product is still a good option for financing because it's going to be below market. And as market climbs, this is going to be fixed for 20 years or 10. You can take a 504 or a 10-year term, but again, below market rates.
What's today's rate for the 504?
5.28%.
Fixed for 20.
Fixed for 20.
Can't beat it. It's a great rate. It says here, this is the last question from Rachel. What kinds of benefits do veterans get with SBA loans?
Well, this fiscal year right now, the guarantee fee is waived for a veteran under the Veteran Advantage loan, which goes up to $350,000. But it also includes not just the veteran and the family; it includes the spouse. So and the widow. So it's just not for that person that defended our country. It's also his family.
Very good.
His or her family.
Good.
Under the 504, there is also a Veteran Advantage, and we do provide a rebate of up to $3,000 that the borrower can use to offset other expenses incurred, like the cost of appraisal, environmental, etc. Unfortunately, that only goes to the veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to know. That's really good to know. Do you have any final words for us or advice for our viewers going forward?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that SBA is constantly improving its products. It's streamlining. Right now, under the 504 program, all of our approvals are submitted via internet or even internet, what is it called, e-blasting. And our turnaround approval times are so improved. We really are very able to meet escrow deadlines of 45 to 60 days. And so we're not looking about long-term or extra paperwork. Our loan package really pretty much mirrors what a client would have to put together for conventional financing. So all in an effort to meet the needs of our clients and make this program very effective. And it really is very effective.
Good. Ed, how about yourself?
I would say do your homework first. Make sure you do your homework, and part of that homework is contacting your local SBA office. Get as much information as you can from us, and then build a relationship with a local lender. We have the count of each lender, what they have done in the past 10 years, if not more, as far as how many SBA loans they've done, the amount of money they have done. So, like I said earlier, not all lenders are equal. And when you go in to present your project to a lender, interview them too. I mean, you're building a relationship and you want to be comfortable. With a 7-year loan, 10-year loan, 20-year loan, if it's commercial, you're going to run into a problem somewhere down the road, and you want to know how you're going to be treated. I mean, I have a problem. Do I feel comfortable coming to you? And definitely under an SBA loan, because personally I feel you have more protection. The bank can't treat you as though you just came off the streets. We do have guidelines to help you. We don't want to just put you in business and say goodbye. It's a long-term, 7-year, 10-year, or even 20 years, and we do know things happen. So we're there to help. In a sense, most lenders, the PLP lenders, are well aware. They know our rules and regulations, and they're there to help. So don't panic. Is what I basically am saying. But do your homework up front. Get all the information you can from us. Find out what lenders are doing what or not. We're well prepared to tell you that. And like I said, if I have to pick up the phone, I've called you personally, and I've called Dan personally without a problem. So, by all means, you need to definitely put us on your checklist as far as to talk to us.
Very good. Very good. On behalf of Nevada State Bank, I'd like to thank our panelists, Ann and Ed, for presenting this valuable information. We hope that our small business can apply these ideas to your business and help you succeed. And thank you to everyone who participated, especially those who submitted questions via the Twitter. If your question was not answered today, we'll send you an answer in the next few days. If you'd like to see the webinar again or invite others to see it, a recorded version will be available later today on nevadasmallbusiness.com. The landing page there will also contain links to some of the resources we discussed today. I'd like to invite you to register for the next webinar in the Insight series, which will air on May the 8th. It will feature Curtis Austin from the Las Vegas law firm of Colzer and Latham. Mr. Austin is an intellectual property lawyer who will explain why and how small businesses should protect their intellectual property like patents, trademarks, copyrights, and trade secrets. You can register at www.nsbank.com/webinar. Thanks again for participating, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.